Welcome to episode 30 of OTD, your daily dose of soccer history by a 17 Laws guy. It's November 30, 1872, at Hamilton Crescent, the West of Scotland cricket ground in Partick, just west of Glasgow centre. A crowd of about 4,000 have paid a shilling each to ring a cricket outfield where someone has roped out a rectangle, a lashed tape between two posts to mark a crossbar. On one side, Scotland in navy, on the other, England in white. No national anthems, no dugouts, no numbers, no coach in a technical area. The Scottish FA does not yet exist. The Football League won't be invented for another 16 years. 90 minutes later, the scoreboard, such as it is, still reads 0-0. That goalless draw becomes football's first official international match. And here's the lovely nerd detail. Scotland and England then go almost a full century before they draw 0-0 again, not until Hampden Park in April 1970. Today we're going to tell the story of how we got to Hamilton Crescent in 1872, who actually played in this Scotland versus England when Scotland's FA hadn't been founded yet, and how this tentative, muddy 0-0 grows into the entire international game, from Wales and Ireland joining in, to Olympic tournaments, FIFA, the World Cup, and the modern hierarchy of nations. To understand 1872, we need to wind back 9 years and go south. In October 1863, representatives of a handful of London clubs meet at the Freemasons' Tavern to finally do something about the chaos of football, a mess of different local codes, some allowing hacking and handling, some not. Out of those meetings comes the Football Association, founded in 1863 with the written laws of the game for what they call association football. Even then, the first FA rules imagine a dribbling game, individuals running with the ball, with passing still emerging and offside geared around stopping goal hanging. As the 1860s roll into the 70s, the FA codifies and tweaks its rules. The FA Cup kicks off in 1871, bringing together clubs from around England. Sides like the Royal Engineers and Wanderers start to experiment with more coordinated combination, proto-passing, while Sheffield develops its own rules set up north. But there's a problem if you're the FA. You call yourselves association football. You got rules, you got a cup, yet your game is still overwhelmingly English. So Charles W. Alcock, the FA secretary and one of the great agitators of early football, has an idea: England versus Scotland. Between 1870 and early 1872, he organizes 5 representative England versus Scotland matches at the Oval in London. On paper, they're internationals. In reality, the Scotland team is almost entirely Scots living in London, plus the odd actual Scottish clubmen like Robert Smith of Queen's Park, and that's important to our story. See, the Scots back home are not convinced. From their perspective, these aren't really Scotland versus England at all. Enter Queen's Park. Founded in 1867, Glasgow's pioneering club and apostles of a more collective, passing-heavy combination game. In 1872, while down in England for an FA Cup tie, Queen's Park men Robert Gardner and David Wotherspoon stay on in London to talk with the FA. They propose a proper match in Scotland on St Andrew's Day, with a Scottish team actually picked from Scottish clubs. The FA agrees. And that's how we end up at Hamilton Crescent on November 30, 1872. But here's the twist. Every single Scottish player that day was from Queen's Park. 11 clubmates, all amateurs, all used to each other's game, representing Scotland with no national association behind them. Their captain and selector is Robert Gardner, a founder member of Queen's Park, described later as one of the best goalkeepers of his age. He starts in goal in the first half and then swaps position to play up front after the break. A reminder that positional specialization is very much in its infancy. On the English side, it's a pick and mix from 9 different clubs, including the Royal Engineers and Oxford University, and several London teams. England line up in a very attacking 1-1-8 shape, 1 fullback, 1 halfback, and 8 forwards. Scotland used something closer to 2-2-6, and crucially, a tighter sense of collective play. The pitch is heavy after days of rain. The crossbar is a tape. Yes, you heard that right, tape. Nobody has numbers, no subs. Contemporary accounts say Scotland, smaller and lighter, used their familiarity to play well together, stringing short passes and combining in attack, the embryo of a recognizable passing style. England, heavier and more direct, dribble and surge forward, relying on individual runs backed by sheer physicality. Scotland have a goal disallowed in the first half. Later, a Scotsman hits the tape with a shot that would, under today's rules, have been a goal. But the game ends 0-0, but reports praised the quality. It's hailed as the best game ever seen in Scotland by one newspaper. The English press note the spirited sporting tone and the crowd's enthusiasm. And for us stat nerds, it's match one in Scotland's record books and in England's. And it's the first official international recognized by FIFA, which is still 32 years away, by the way. And wonderfully, it's the first of just 2 nil-nils between England and Scotland in almost 100 years. Right after this, Queen's Park and the other Scottish clubs do something logical. If Scotland are going to play internationals regularly, they need a governing body. So on March 13, 1873, representatives of 8 clubs meet at Dewars Hotel in Glasgow. Queen's Park, Clydesdale, Vale of Leven, Dumbreck, 3rd Lanark, Easton, Granville, plus a letter of support from Kilmarnock, and formed the Scottish Football Association, the world's second oldest FA after England. Hamilton Crescent on this day in 1872 is thus both a one-off curiosity and a starting gun. The match also hints at something that will shape football far beyond the British Isles. It's the rise of the Scottish combination game. Queen's Park, with a 2-2-6 shape and emphasis on short passing and teamwork, spread their style across Scotland by playing exhibition matches and dominating the new Scottish Cup, founded in 1873. Reports from the 1870s talk about Scottish team playing excellently well together, and opponents surprised by the systematic passing, with players pairing up to stop dribblers and using quick exchanges going forward. As professionalism emerges in England in the 1880s, Scottish players carrying this passing style, nicknamed the Scottish Professors, head south across the border. They sign for clubs like Bolton, Preston North End, Sunderland and others, and help turn English football away from individual dribbling and towards combination play. That's the technical undercurrent to what we saw at Hamilton Crescent, a Scottish club team playing their own version of the game, holding their own against the heavier, more individualistic England, and planting the seeds for how the sport will be played everywhere else. For a while, international football basically means Scotland versus England once a year. The second fixture in London in 1873 finishes 4-2 to England, the first goal in the rivalry, and after that, the game becomes an annual event. Then the map starts to grow. In early 1876, the Football Association of Wales in Wrexham. That March, Wales play the first international, away to Scotland at Hamilton Crescent, losing 4-0. It's the first time Scotland faced anyone other than England. The Irish Football Association is founded in Belfast late 1880. Ireland debut as an international side in February 1882, losing 13-0 to England, still England's record win and Ireland's record defeat. On the continent and beyond, football is spreading through schools, expat communities and clubs, but national associations arrive later. Denmark's DBU is founded in 1889, the first FA outside the British Isles, but it doesn't start counting official games until the 1908 Olympics, where Denmark wins silver. The Netherlands' KNVB is also founded in 1889. Their first official internationals is a 4-1 win over Belgium in 1905. You can feel the lag. While the British associations are already experimenting with professionalism, legalized in England in 1885, and formed the Football League in 1888, most other countries are still building basic club structures and rules. England, in other words, sprints ahead domestically, while the international scene is still very British and very small. International football really begins to globalize in the early 20th century, and the first big stage isn't the World Cup, it's the Olympic Games. In 1900 in Paris and 1904 in St. Louis, football appears in small, fairly ad hoc tournaments with club or composite teams representing countries. In 1908 in London, football becomes an official Olympic medal event. Great Britain, essentially an English amateur selection, win gold, Denmark silver, and the Netherlands bronze. FIFA helps oversee the tournament, and Olympic football briefly looks like the pinnacle of the international game. To manage all this, national associations create a global body. In 1904, 7 European FAs found FIFA to oversee international competition. England's FA joins in 1905. The Scottish, Welsh, and Irish associations follow later. But the relationship between FIFA and the British FAs is always a bit prickly, especially over amateurism and payments to players. In 1928, after a dispute over payments to Olympic amateurs, the British associations walk out of FIFA at the Amsterdam Congress, the same meeting that approves a brand new idea, a standalone World Cup. So when FIFA stages the first World Cup in Uruguay in 1930, the original inventors of international football aren't even in the organization. Only after World War II do relations thaw. In 1946, the 4 British associations rejoined FIFA. England finally play in a World Cup in Brazil in 1950 and promptly lose to the United States in Belo Horizonte in one of the competition's greatest shocks. Fast forward 16 years from that re-entry, and you end up at Wembley in 1966, England hosting and winning the World Cup in extra time against West Germany in front of 96,000 people and a TV audience of millions. From Hamilton Crescent via Olympic amateurs and FIFA Congress debates, the international game has become the global spectacle we recognize. If you zoom out even further, you can trace a rough arc of who sits at the top table of international football over the long run. Uruguay and Italy dominate early World Cups. Uruguay 1930 and 1950, Italy 1934 and 38. After World War II, Germany and Brazil defined the competition. Germany with 4 titles and a stack of finals. Brazil with 5 World Cups and wins on multiple continents. From the late 1970s, Argentina joins the elite with World Cups in 1978, 86 and 2022. From the 1990s, France rise into the same conversation with 1998 and 2018 World Cups and multiple major tournament finals. And in the 21st century, Spain and the Netherlands become the archetypical super technicians. Spain with Euro 2008, World Cup 2010 and Euro 2012. The Dutch with 3 World Cup finals in 78, 74, 78 and 2010, and a near permanent place in the later stages. It's a landscape completely unimaginable to the men at Hamilton Crescent in 1872. Yet structurally, it's still their idea: national teams, a shared rulebook, and international football as its own theater. One last note to keep our 1872 heads on straight. This entire story happens in the pre-league world. When you look at the team sheets from that first international and from the early FA Cup, you don't see Manchester United or Liverpool or Celtic or Rangers. You see Queen's Park, Clydesdale, Vale of Leven in Scotland, and you see Wanderers, Royal Engineers, Oxford University, Old Etonians in England. These are schools, gentlemanly clubs, army teams, and cricket clubs looking for winter sport. They're not brands, they're social circles. They belong to a world of Victorian amateurism that will slowly give way via professionalism, leagues, and mass spectatorship to the clubs that dominate our mental map today. Hamilton Crescent sits right at that hinge. Players still switching positions mid-match. One club essentially acting as the Scottish FA. Rules still evolving, tactics still embryonic, if even existing. And yet, a crowd, a set of fixed laws, and a flag-to-flag contest between 2 national 11s. From that 0-0, you can draw a line to every international match you've ever watched. That's all for episode 30 of OTD, the day Scotland and England played out a goalless draw on a cricket field in Glasgow and, in the process, invented international football. If you've got memories, sources, or favorite early international rabbit holes, then email us at otd@17lawsguy.com. Subscribe and leave us a 5-star review so more Victorian amateurs can find us. Tomorrow, in episode 31, we head to 1959 in Anfield, where Liverpool unveil a new manager named William Shankly, and really nothing was ever heard about him after that. Don't miss it.